Hey, what's up, Brandon? This is a quick demo video for you for your KR Sabers Scavenger. This was very nicely weathered by Multiverse Props. This comes weathered from KR Sabers from Multiverse Props. So you bought it like this, came to me for an install. You provided the Goth Eco chassis and all the components, so I just wired it up for you. All right, you've got a Proffie in here. You've got the heat stained pedals. Maybe. There we go. Ever so slowly. So you've got the heat stained pedals there. They open up. You can see a stock V3 in there. That's a long pin version. So I'll light those up here for you in a second. This is a one button setup or a one switch setup. So this is your switch right here. It opens so far to accept a blade, and then the last little bit when you click is your switch. And it can be a little bit tricky if you've never done this before, but play around with it just a little bit and you'll get the hang of it. I went ahead and I greased the cog so it's nice and loose for you. There's no hang up there. It's very easy to maneuver. All right. To get to your chassis, grab your pommel, twist it counterclockwise just a hair, and then pull it straight out. All right. It is a tight fit. The pommel was so tight, in fact, the chassis goes in here, it does not come out. I mean, you could probably get it out. It's going to take a lot. I also took a Dremel to the inside of the pommel to open up the metal, the inside diameter just a bit, so that I could finally get this in there. But it is an extremely tight fit. So all of this, just consider this one unit. All right. This is your Proffie board. You can pop your battery out just like that, just by putting your finger there. Your battery will come out like this. Oof. And then you can grab it, pop it out. So that's your battery compartment. Your negative side of your battery goes over here by your pommel. So don't ever swap that around. It's a bad deal. All right, so pop that back in there. This is the battery that came with your kit. You've got a kill switch over here. This has a 28mm KR speaker in it, so it's hidden inside the pommel area. You can see your Proffie board here. This just has the stock font package on it, so you'll put your own font on it when you get it. I did put my own font on it, though, so I could fire up something that wasn't a stock font. I'm not a huge fan of those. I don't like the way they sound, and I'm just not a fan. So it's got my one font. It is a one-button setup. I went ahead and I put a copy of the config file on the SD card so you can build from that. All right, but easy access to your SD card and your micro USB from right here. The board is glued down to the chassis. If you don't glue it down, it won't stay. But I don't ever glue these down unless there's full access. So there's no need to move the board. You can get to everything. All right, so you'll notice there's a groove right here on the chassis, and then there's another one 180 degrees from it. You can actually see how they come all the way down and they line up with that little J-lock system that's on the pommel here. So you've got that side right there that lines up with the J-lock, and then if you flip it over, you can see that groove lines up with this one as well. That's how you put this into the handle. If you look here, you've got a screw here, and then one more 180 degrees from that. And those actually protrude into the diameter just a hair. You can kind of see the bottom one. It's kind of hard to see the top one. But if I made that the bottom, you can see it there too, right? So those protrude into the handle just a little bit. So what we'll want to do first is flip our kill switch. Line up the two grooves with the two screws, and it'll go right in. If you don't do that, it's not going to go in. So if you've even made it this far, you know you did it right. But push it all the way in there and then turn it just a little bit clockwise to lock it in. All right. So now everything is nice and locked in. You can open this so far, and then the last little bit, you're going to have to click on the switch and then hurry up and get off of it. Like that. All right. So your LEDs in there firing up. Nice shine through in your window. Good flash on flash. Blaster bolt is a quick tap on the switch, but when you tap it, you got to back off of it. So it is greased up enough where you can do it with just your thumb. blaster or the blade lockup is a little tricky. It's a double tap, and then on the second one you got to hold it. And then when you back off of it, it'll let go of that. Or if you hold down on the switch and hit the saber, you'll get it as well. And then you've got twist off. So you have two different options for blade lock up there, just whichever one ends up being easiest for you to manage. All right. On the saber, whoops, we'll close this real quick.
Smooth Jedi.
We accidentally went to another sound font. To go to another sound font on this one button setup, you do a long press on the switch when the saber's off. So I went back to mine. If you ever want to go backwards in the sound font menu, just hold it upside down and do the same thing. It will go backwards. If you hold it right side up and do that, you'll move forwards. All right. Right along here, you have 4 screws. You can see that one here. All 4 screws. One of them is your blade retention. It's the one that I marked with a silver Sharpie. It's about 1 millimeter longer than the rest, or 1.5 or so. So that one that's marked with a silver Sharpie, that's the one you want to mess with. All of the other ones just leave in there. Open up the pedals just enough to accept a blade. This does take a 1-inch diameter Neopixel blade. We'll back off this screw just a little bit. You don't have to take it all the way out. Put our blade in. I have to open up just a hair more. These pedals will open up just enough to accept a blade, not a hair more. All right. So we'll get our blade in there. It is set up for a full-length blade, although I'm using my test blade. Then we'll lock it down. And we'll turn it on. Lights up your blade very well. I've got the volume set to 2000. You can go higher if you want. I typically send out all my 28 millimeters at 2000 for Proffie. Now if we want to go to the next sound font, we'll do a long press.
Smooth Jedi.
So nice, shine through in your windows. Everything is looking good there. We'll go ahead and take the blade out. We'll talk about these pedals just a little bit. Something that I like to just give everybody a heads up on. It did happen to me once while I was installing it. So we'll close this real quick. Come over here and take our chassis out. Flip our kill switch. Now it's off. If you look closely at these pedals, they have a bunch of tiny flathead screws in them. As much as you can see on the outside, there's at least that many, if not more, on the inside. If we opened it up and you start looking at those mechanisms, there's actually twice as many on the inside. They're tiny. Sometimes they can fall out. I went through. I kind of hand tightened all the ones with a small screwdriver that I could get to. You'll just want to be mindful of that. All right, so if you be mindful of that, then you shouldn't have any problem. But once we're done, we can slide this back into the chassis, or into the handle rather, twist it to lock it in, and that is basically your Scavenger. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try to get this out in the mail to you by tomorrow. Thanks.